What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams. Happy Wednesday. And today is definitely a Wacky Wednesday here on the Casa D18 Studios channel as we take a look at the zany school comedy Senseless, starring Marlon Wayans, David Spade, Matthew Lillard, Brad Dourif, Tamara Taylor, Rip Torn, Kenya Moore, Greg Grunberg, Patrick Ewing, and Sherman Hemsley. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, it's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, and it's definitely a wacky Wednesday here on the channel as we're about to take a look at this zany school comedy called Senseless. And as our movie begins, Daryl Witherspoon is an economics student at Stratford University who does not have the advantages of his wealthy nemesis, Scott Thorpe, or his best friend, Tim LaFleur, a straight edge punk rocker who has a hockey scholarship. Daryl is so broke that he donates 4 pints of blood in one day, pretending to be a different person each time, and 4 vials of sperm in a single day as well. Now, Daryl's big break comes when he enters a competition where the winner will receive a high paying Wall Street job. But when Scott enters the same competition as well, it seems as if Daryl's big break has gone down the drain. He takes on a high paying experiment to test a drug that'll enhance the 5 senses, and Daryl uses it to his advantage in order to impress the competition's supervisor, Mr. Tyson, and he even joins the hockey team as their goalie. However, after taking an extra dose one night, he experiences side effects. The experiment's supervisor, Dr. Thomas Whedon, tells Daryl that only 4 of his 5 senses will now work at a time until the drug passes through his body. As Daryl struggles, Tim begins to think that his friend is on heroin and gets worried about him. Daryl's luck then starts to go down the drain as he loses the hockey game because his sense of sight is gone. He also mistakenly confesses his love to his girlfriend's father, who he thinks is his girlfriend, while his sense of sight has been lost. Her father turns out to be none other than Mr. Tyson. Daryl also begins to act very clumsy because of his inability to see during a basketball game that he is invited to with a potential client that he is trying to impress in order for Daryl to score some points with the Smythe Bates guys, which are the people holding the competition. Luckily, the client thinks that Daryl is just funny and goes ahead and signs an agreement with the company anyways. As the story progresses, Daryl asks his friend Tim to help him study for the next day's interview. And at that exact moment, Scott is shown to answer a question correctly, but he doesn't know the reason behind the question and ignores the question. The next day, the drug finally leaves Daryl's system, and now all 5 of his senses operate normally. During the interview, it comes down to Daryl and Scott is asked the exact same question that he was asked the night before, and he answers it correctly once again. But once again, he doesn't know the answer to the reason why the question is correct. Daryl steps in, gives the correct reason, and scores the position of junior analyst at Smythe Bates. However, in his speech, he confesses that he cheated by taking an experimental drug. A meeting is called to decide his fate, and Mr. Tyson tells him that he himself started out in the mailroom, and Daryl should too. If he serves 1 year of duty in the mailroom, he will score the position of junior analyst. We then jump ahead 1 year, and Daryl is seen asking his mom to move into a deluxe apartment. Daryl enters the Smythe Bates building on his first day with a very familiar looking doorman, played by Sherman Hemsley, as our movie comes to its close. This is a movie that's a favorite of my girlfriend's, and I remember seeing bits and pieces of it many years ago, but I don't think I'd ever seen it start to finish. I'm not a huge David Spade fan, so that definitely was a deterrent for me, but David Spade was actually decent in this. I feel like there was enough of a supporting cast that kind of made up for David Spade. Marlon Wayans is hilarious. Matthew Lillard is an underrated gem of an actor and just really needs to be appreciated a lot more for his roles. I put him in the same league that I put like Brendan Fraser and Keanu Reeves. Like just that that type of guy that just doesn't really get the praise he truly deserves. What do you think about Matthew Lillard? Let me know. Sound off in the comments. Rip Torn, I thought was great as Mr. Tyson, the girlfriend's father, the head of the Smythe Bates competition. I don't know about the rest of you, but if I am offered an experimental drug from Charles Lee Ray, Chucky, I'm not taking it. No. I love Child's Play. Chucky is my favorite of the modern day slasher franchises. As such, I see Brad Dourif, I think Chucky. And he played the scientist that created the experimental drug that Marlon Wayans' character took. I'm not taking an experimental drug from Charles Lee Ray. No. No. I've seen enough scary movies to know how this turns out. No. I'm just saying. No. Would you guys trust Charles Lee Ray to give you an experimental drug? I think not. And if you would, you're a sick, sadistic person. You'd probably be able to get along and be friends if I'm being real. But that's another story altogether. But yeah, seeing Brad Dourif in this, in a movie that's not a horror, first of all, I thought was awesome. But for him to be the catalyst, the reason why Marlon Wayans takes this experimental drug, red flag, flag on the play, 5 yard penalty, repeat second down. Like, no. But all in all, I thought this was a good, fun film. Again, I think the rest of the cast really made up for David Spade's presence because David Spade was David Spade. And if you've seen his movies, if you know the type of characters he plays, then that makes perfect sense. Sherman Hemsley at the end as the doorman, after having the whole conversation about moving into a deluxe apartment, and then the Jeffersons theme plays, and then you see him as the doorman. It's just like, okay, we got a little running gag here, but it was awesome to see the cameo. I'm really curious to know what you guys that have seen Senseless think about it, but I'm gonna give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was fun. I thought the cast did great. I thought it was a decent enough story. I mean, it was your typical college comedy. I didn't think it was anything to really write home about, but it was definitely entertaining and the cast was well presented. What do you guys think of Senseless? Those of you that have seen it. Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. And let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And make sure you guys stay tuned in at the top of the hour. as over on the Jeff Meacham Network, it'll be time for the weekly shenanigans that are the Greg Cherry Show. Your hosts, Greg Cherry and Maddie Laws, will be doing their normal shtick, wheel spins aplenty for the proper donations, football talk, wrestling talk, and whatever else decides to come out of the conversation between Greg, Maddie, and whoever else is on the program. And then immediately following that, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, and across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media, it'll be time for our first of 3 watch-alongs this week as we present our coverage for AEW Dynamite Grand Slam from Arthur Ashe Stadium, beginning at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. Myself and the Simple Man Noah Foster on the call, providing live reactions and play-by-play commentary for everything that AEW presents to us from Arthur Ashe Stadium and their annual Grand Slam special. And then tomorrow, right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, it'll be time to once again open up the vaults and expose everybody to the classic content of Throwback Thursday. Everything you've been seeing will continue to be presented. Talk wrestling, renegade of wrestling, dads on wrestling, stat boy rants, no DQ and AV, no DQ review, the ATW view, the Indie Force podcast, open mic night, so much more in store on Throwback Thursday. And then later on in the evening on the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, and across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media, it will be the flagship show, Talk Wrestling. 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, across the multiverse, as I said. Jeff Meacham in studio with the show that brought us to the dance, the flagship show, Talk Wrestling. And then we will be back here on Friday on the Casa D18 Studios channel for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews as we wrap up this week of back-to-school flicks with Honors, starring Brendan Fraser, Joe Pesci, Moira Kelly, Patrick Dempsey, Josh Hamilton, Gore Vidal, and Claudia Haro. You don't want to miss out on any of that content right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media, the Greg Cherry Show, AEW Dynamite Grand Slam watch-along, Throwback Thursday coverage, Talk Wrestling with Honors, and so much more in store for you over the next few days, as well as the rest of the month right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel and Renegades Reviews. Again, you don't want to miss any of it, so make sure you smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Statboy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, pay-per-view PLE watch-along coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life, fans of Marlon Wayans, fans of David Spade, fans of Matthew Lillard, fans of Rip Torn, fans of Brad Dourif, fans of Sherman Hemsley. Anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content in this video, share it with them, as it's the only way we're going to keep my visibility up in YouTube's algorithms now that we are in fact a monetized channel right here on the platform. Thank you once again to everybody out there who joined me and tuned in today. It means so much more to me than you guys will ever know. And I will see you guys next time.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.